Subscribe to Swarajya and press the bell icon.
Before I break down today's big news, there are two numbers I want you to focus on. In the last financial year, which was until 31st March 2020, India imported $65 billion worth of goods from China. $65 billion worth of goods. What were our exports to China? They were worth $17 billion. That is it, $17 billion. So all in all, in the last financial year alone, we had a trade deficit with China of $48 billion. Now imagine what it did to our local industries. But it's not just about the industries. Now we are engaged in a very tense standoff with China in the Ladakh sector, and who knows, even Arunachal Pradesh in the future. The tensions between the two nations are at an all-time high, especially after what happened in Galwan Valley. Also, COVID-19 has changed the dynamics of the supply chains across the world. Companies are now looking to explore alternatives for manufacturing after they saw the lockdowns that happened in China, and also to counter China's growing political influence around the world. So these dynamics have changed. And lastly, India has moved big on its Aatmanirbhar push. It's inviting companies across the world to come manufacture in India. The idea of Aatmanirbharta, not to be a protectionist India, but to be a self-reliant India, is also being encouraged. Following this lead, the government is now looking at the future, even though the skeptics are obsessed with the 23.9% GDP contraction. The government seems to be looking ahead, and they have launched, or as certain reports suggest, there are talks of a 1.68 lakh crore rupees package to invite manufacturers from all across the world to come and manufacture in India. Now, this will be almost a $23 billion package, the intricacies of which are still to be announced, but it will be surely on the lines of the production-linked incentive scheme, which we saw for the mobile sector, the component sector, and the APIs, the pharmacy sector. So this $23 billion package, which is still being worked out as per this Bloomberg report, it will invite companies to come and manufacture in India. Now, which are these companies? These are companies which are engaged in the manufacturing of solar panels, automobile manufacturers, specialty steel, consumer appliances, even food processing units, textile units, all these things which we are already importing heavily from China. This will be the focus of this $23 billion package. Now, we've already seen what the PLI did for the pharmacy sector, for the mobile sector. To give you two examples, firstly of the pharmacy sector, when the lockdown was announced in March, the companies, the stakeholders were so worried about the dependence on China for the APIs, which are active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are essentially raw materials for critical life-saving drugs. We import them so much from China that a lockdown threatened to cut the entire supply chain off. And the government, realizing its mistake, the stakeholders realizing their mistake, have now gone for a 10,000 crore rupee PLI scheme for the pharmacy sector. The same stories with the mobile phone industry. Our huge reliance on the Oppos and the Vivos and the Realmes and the Xiaomis and the OnePlus on China. The government wants to boil it down. And now we have the PLI scheme for the mobile components. Now companies across the world are being invited to come and manufacture in India. We saw the news of Foxconn, of Wistron, of Samsung, and Apple also coming through Foxconn and Wistron and making its iPhone 11 in India. And who knows, even the next iPhones that are going to be announced later this week. So that are two examples of why this PLI scheme, or why to attract manufacturers from the globe, is very, very important. But India is not just stopping there. It's also about the local value addition to a certain product. The government is also in works for making a package which appeals to the manufacturers who want to increase the local value addition. This will extend to furniture, plastics, toys, and other low value consumer durables right now, which is being imported from China. So all in all, the government is already on the move when it comes to reducing that $48 billion trade deficit. The same trade deficit that is now financing indirectly China's soldiers who are engaged in a tense off against India itself. And also, it's just not about the app bans or everything. It's also about telling China that if they rub India the wrong way, be it diplomatically, be it militarily, they will pay the price, and so they shall. Thank you.